Perfect.
Oh wow. Wow, that's real. That part is real. I think that's the person who did that. Oh, so there was a fire drill.
I was staying on 7th Avenue. I remember that right when you said it was based on that, it just hit me back. I was driving my little car.
Mm.
And sure enough, all the GP started to close out. Oh, I don't know. But I know they got paid too. Those families have to get that check. The big one. Lord, Lord. That's tough.
Absolutely. 11 lines turnover.
So Lord is hitting 7 days straight, and that's when they say everything.
That's when it starts 8:30, so I think it's 10:30. Okay. I didn't really eat. I had lunch like earlier, but
All that, bro. It's just like, oh my God, I love my nails, and my nails ain't even done, girl.
I'm glad. A little
They
more for me.
suit my hands. Like, I could put my hands on and I could feel like I'm being a girly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. So especially the fact that I do contact part time. I'm like, you know something, when I go on my little extravagance,
Mm-hmm.
I just
And how has content been treating you? How do you like it?
I just started getting monetized.
Oh wow,
Thank you.
congratulations.
So it's like, let's see. I told myself, let me see what the month of April gives me. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
go too hard the end of March once they sent me, everything. I was
Mm-hmm.
just very chill or whatever. But let's see what April gives me. Especially going to Aruba.
Mm-hmm. And that's gonna be a good content moment.
Yeah, especially going to Aruba. So is this what's considered buffing?
Uh, it's a version of it. I do this and then I do a light buff after to get rid of all the lines that this causes. But by doing it with the drill, it takes out the amount of energy I truly have to do with my hand if I were to a hand buff, which I still do anyways, but I don't know. I just feel like it gives me a smoother, more natural result, especially for almonds, so that it gives you like that flush from the nail look. Mhm. And to think I was gonna take 6 people today, I don't know what I was thinking.
Did you take a look at me? At all? You took a break at all?
It was like 10 minutes. That's okay. After this, I'm gonna get myself some good food. And tomorrow's not that busy of a day either. It's mixed. Like the first 2 weeks of the month, the first week of the month I had 19 clients. The second week of the month I had 20.
Second to last day here in the Philippines. And if we know anything about Lauren at this point, that's not going to work with him. He would like to stay in the Philippines indefinitely, and now that the two of them are officially engaged, he suggests that the two of them go meet with an immigration lawyer to discuss their options. The two of them arrive at the office and meet with some immigration lawyers. They discuss the primary issue, which is, yes, you're engaged, but the Philippines doesn't officially recognize same-sex marriages. But if you remember from previous episodes, Lauren already knew that and had his own plans. The first being to marry Faith.
Is your hand full yet? Yeah, they don't want to. They're in the Philippines. He lived in Vegas, and he just didn't like it there.
This
And he
seemed
was
to be the
homeless.
straw that broke the camel's back for Lauren, because as we'll see in the next scene, this revelation actually turned Lauren into a complete psycho. We can talk with Faith Lauren later that same night. The final
He's
night
a
spent
walking
together
Yeah.
before Lauren leaves. And to celebrate their final night together, Lauren decided to rent a room in the area's most romantic hotel. Faith is very impressed and thinks it's very romantic. To me, it kind of feels more like Lauren is just trying to maximize the odds that they do something together, you know? They go up to their fancy room. This is the nicest room Faith has ever
How did
been
you book
in.
it?
I think we all know what this is leading to.
You know what the other?
But stay with me here. It doesn't actually go in that direction. It actually takes a far darker turn. Because from the very beginning of the evening, it becomes pretty clear that something is seriously up with Lauren. He's just being a super Debbie Downer and seems really distracted and out of it. He tells us in 101 that he's been struggling with revelation of lawyers and their friendship together, and he's having a really hard time with that. He says in 101 that he's trying to put on a brave face and trying to make the most of the night, but although he says that's not what happens. Instead, we get scenes like this. Lauren staring directly at Faith with no emotion in his eyes as he demolishes this can as if he's trying to wring someone's neck.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
trans?
No, he knew what he wants anyway. That's his whole thing. That's why he's over there.
Do while maintaining eye contact.
He hates
It's
regular
almost like there's some kind of hidden message or intention behind it.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. He's a weirdo.
I can't understand Lauren's side here. If he just got a bunch of bad news about the future relationship, I'd understand if he was going into this meeting not necessarily feeling the best and being kind of a fuck. That's understandable, but the way Lauren deals with this sadness is not just to be kind of distracted or emotionally distant, it's to be completely insane. Because, as if crushing a can with his hands wasn't good enough, Lauren decides to, in total silence, completely unprovoked, do this. Business needs shipping software that keeps up with their growth. With ShipStation, you can automatically see inventory and returns across all your sales channels. So you fulfill your orders accurately and ship the right products to the right customers. ShipStation makes it easy to manage everything on one platform with the lowest carrier rates. No matter if it's business growth. ShipStation.com to start your free trial today.
Around like 8 months, like his birthday.
I think the bigger issue
Oh,
is
it's matte.
he did for months and months. That resulted
So
in
this is glossy, it's still wet. Take that hand out.
He says,
Yeah.
yeah,
So do you want it in matte?
in a way that looks kind of funny to her.
You want the whole set that way?
No.
So just
Yeah, just go.
I'm sorry, I rejected a girl did the right thing, but you didn't like how I did it. That's not a real apology. That's such a I'm sorry you felt that way kind of apology, you know? And then says he's sorry that last night didn't go the way she wanted. Which, again, no acknowledgement of any of his actions. No responsibility taken here. How about instead, Lauren, you say, I'm sorry I made you uncomfortable. I'm sorry my actions made you scared. Any acknowledgements that you have some culpability. But again, three apologies. I'm sorry I got Gabriel, which only sort of implies he actually did something wrong when he tries to say, I'm sorry I just caught a sickness. No, it's the cheating. Your actions led to that. I'm sorry that you interpreted my good action in the wrong way. Again, no acknowledgements that he touched a minor. Kind of sounds weird to say that he was weird and that he shouldn't have been. And I'm sorry that things just didn't work out. Not that he made it the night bad. 3 attempts at an apology, 0 for 3 for taking any responsibility. Shockingly, this half-assed apology is not enough for Faith. Who clarifies again that she was scared last night because of his actions. And that's whatever he does now is too late because the two of them are officially over. Or Lauren pathetically wishes that Faith will be happy one day with someone else, obviously not him. Okay. And before he leaves, his final request is that he hopes Faith doesn't think that he's a bad person at the end of the day, which seems to justify that. Because I don't even necessarily disagree with the first half of what he was saying that the producers love drama and therefore he's going to be as dramatic and ridiculous as possible. That's not a revelation unique to Lauren. I think it's okay to stir up some drama and be a bit of a character for TV. However, the fact that he so casually moves from I'm going to be dramatic for TV to I'm going to use and abuse this person with vulnerabilities and how lucky am I to have a partner that can be abused so easily for TV, that is not the same thing at all. He could have just as easily said, yeah, I'm going to be so dramatic and ridiculous for TV, and I'm telling my partner, and she's going to be super dramatic and ridiculous, and we're going to play off with each other. There's no reason that he can't include Faith on this plan of his. But what Lauren is saying here is that he wants to be as dramatic and ridiculous for TV, and he knows how he can do it by abusing Faith and her insecurities. That's not the two of them on the same team. That's Lauren wants to be famous or have money or be on the show, whatever it is, and he sees a way he can do that by using Faith. And lastly, before I get on with the rest of the podcast, just keep in mind, his first option of all these people he could marry would be Faith. So he's not saying that this is some random person he doesn't care about, it's that he's only using for TV. This is someone he might marry. And it's that same person that he's joking about abusing for money. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? The host then asks if Lauren had to pay for the ticket to the Philippines himself or if the producers paid for it. Lauren somehow has like 3 different answers to this question, but seems to say that he did indeed have to pay for it himself, which is kind of funny. And because of that, he only has a one-way ticket and has no way of coming back. So if he and Faith don't work out, he's okay if he just has to marry a local.
So, I mean, if I have to marry someone in the Philippines just to live there forever because I don't have money to get home, like, fuck it, like, I don't care.
There's nothing inherently wrong with being a free-spirited person who doesn't really care where he lives the rest of his life. There's nothing wrong with joking with your friend that's, well, if I get stuck in this country, I'll make do. But packed in this little joke of his is that he would seek out someone to marry and use their relationship so he can start over and who cares, life goes on. It's not that he's carefree and dismissive about the concept of moving around the world. It's that it seems like he has that same dismissiveness towards a fellow human being and a whole-ass marriage. Does that make sense? It's okay if that doesn't quite make sense yet.
I mean, it was done.
That's actually a pattern of this podcast that we're going to see
I just didn't
many
stretch
more
it,
times.
which I
After
did
the two of
do.
them finish their discussion on
Once
Lauren's
I
past
stretch, I should be
relationships and
fine.
his plans in the Philippines, the host then asks Lauren about his attraction to trans women and how that started.
Huh?
What is it about trans girls that like caught your attention?
Okay.
Question from everyone, especially on the show.
And Lauren has a predictably confusing
Okay, no
answer.
problem.
Lauren goes on to describe that when he was a wee lad growing up amongst his
Could've gone
sisters,
back in.
he knew that there were boys and girls, and boys had penises, and girls had boobs. That was visual to him. But because he had never actually seen a vagina,
So I looked at girls my whole life. All I ever thought was, girl face, boobs, penis. And then when it happened, I'm like, all right, that's a vagina. Like, I get it. But like in my mind, it's like that's not supposed to be there.
which of course sounds ridiculous coming out of my mouth as a grown adult, but imagine a toddler saying that, or a 9-year-old's being confused. I don't think that's that uncommon, and maybe even at a certain young age, that might even be the norm. But statistically, most of those kids then later grow up and realize and learn that, girls, they have vaginas, and they have cooties, and they're different, and that's weird, and, they gotta grow up and mature. But most kids realize that, and, then they adjust and don't end up only being sexually interested in trans women.
So when I look at a trans girl, I'm like, my brain is telling me this is correct. This is how it's.
The fact that he so casually moves from I'm gonna be dramatic for TV to I'm gonna use, and he could have just as easily said, yeah, I'm gonna be so dramatic and ridiculous for TV, and I'm telling my partner, and she's gonna be super dramatic and ridiculous, and we're gonna play off with each other. There's no reason that this woman in this story, what did she feel bad about? What led up to these